My wife has a severe obsession with cleanliness. No one is allowed to touch her personal belongings, except me. That day, my wife and I were both invited to attend the same Fashion Week event. Midway through the show, I saw something that made my heart drop. A pet dog walking down the runway, wearing my wife's wedding ring on its collar. The dog belonged to one of the company's idol trainees. At that moment, I had a terrible feeling this marriage was about to end. Later, both my wife and that trainee fell from grace, eyes red. She asked me why I did this to her. I turned away from her outstretched hand. Expression cold. If you dare to make someone else a cuckold, you'd better be ready to be exposed and humiliated. Chapter 1. The moment I stepped backstage, I had a sinking feeling that the love we'd built over the past 10 years was about to fall apart. While I stood frozen in disbelief, the youthful boy had already stopped teasing the dog with the ring and smiled politely, lips pressed together. "Hi, bro Santi." Though his tone was respectful, he had no intention of standing up. There was a flicker of annoyance between his brows, but I didn't stoop to his level and reprimand him. My eyes drifted to Selena, who was busy touching up her makeup, clearly unaware of the tension brewing in the air. Today marked our 8th wedding anniversary. We had planned to celebrate by taking a private yacht out to sea that evening. To prepare, I had worked around the clock to clear a week's worth of tasks in advance and spent hours decorating the yacht for a romantic night. Never would I have imagined that the wedding ring meant only for the two of us would end up as a chew toy for someone else's dog. "Nice to meet you, bro Santi," the boy beamed. "I'm Nestor. I play sis Selena's younger brother in her new drama." His smile was all surface. His eyes brimmed with poorly hidden pride. "I heard you personally designed your wedding rings. Max really liked it. So sis Selena took it off and gave it to him to play with. But don't worry, once Max gets bored of it, I'll make sure to wash it clean and return it to her." She gave it to him herself. Listening to Nestor talk, it felt like someone had dunked my heart in salt water. I knew better than anyone just how intense Selena's germophobia was. Back when her mother, lonely from living alone, adopted a dog, Selena was so upset she didn't set foot in her childhood home for 5 years. A friend once joked, "Selena probably makes you kiss through plastic wrap," but he was wrong. After we married, Selena would always help me wipe off the smell of alcohol when I came home from social events. She would brew me sobering tea with care. She once said, "We're a team. You respect my quirks, and I'll bend my habits for you. I'll only ever change for you." But now, not only had she allowed Nestor and his dog into her space, she had willingly tossed our wedding ring to the paws of a drooling pet. Chapter 2. Backed by a powerful family, I had never once been forced to swallow my pride, and this time was no different. "Take your mutt and get the hell out." My face was cold as I kicked them out, unmoved by his confusion. The boy's eyes reddened, clearly not expecting me to humiliate him in front of so many people. He stood up with a flushed face after a moment of stunned silence, stammering, I am sorry, bro Santi." He didn't dare meet my eyes, fists clenched tightly around the hem of his shirt. Selena was drawn over by the commotion just then. It wasn't yet time for us to pick her up backstage, so she was surprised to see me appear early. Realizing I was angry, she walked over and took my arm, helpless yet indulgent. "Santi, how come you're here so soon?" I stared down at her and asked something else entirely. "Selena, why was our wedding ring on him?" The air backstage was heavy. The staff sensed the tension and quickly found excuses to slip away, leaving only the dog whining uneasily in a corner. Selena frowned slightly, brushing it off casually. "Oh, that." Right before going on stage, the dog wouldn't stop staring at the ring. I didn't want it to hold up the show, so I lent it to Nestor for now. "Don't overthink it. Since you're already here, let's head out." From the corner of my eye, I saw the boy wanting to approach Selena but too scared to say a word. I snapped, annoyed. "Nestor, right, I'm not in the habit of traveling with strangers. Go wherever you want, but don't follow us." His face went pale, eyes pleading towards Selena, but she didn't even glance at him. In the end, all he could do was leave with the dog, utterly dejected. Chapter 3. After dinner, even the smooth strains of the violin couldn't lift the heavy mood. Once the band left, she came over, sat on my lap, and pressed a helpless kiss to my lips. "Santi, the ring's already back. Are you still mad? He's just a rookie, curious about everything. Why make such a big deal over him?" "You broke your promise." Selena blinked, confused. "What? You said you'd only ever compromise for me, but today, you tolerated that dog, for him." She hadn't realized that's why I'd been so silent. Even people who don't follow entertainment gossip know just how famous Selena is. Her social media following alone is in the hundreds of millions. And despite spending years in an industry known for indulgence and pretense, she's always maintained a spotless reputation. She leaned into my chest and playfully nudged me with her eyes smiling. "I thought you'd never get jealous." She looked up, her eyes shining like stars. "He reminds me of myself, when I was just starting out." That's all I saw in him. I just wanted to help someone like my past self, nothing more. Selena cupped my face, speaking solemnly. Chapter 4. But my gut instincts are rarely wrong. Sure enough, it didn't take long for that boy to reappear in my world, this time driving a wedge between Selena and me. I only found out when a friend called me. Did you know Selena arranged for one of your company's no-name trainees to join my show, Pastoral Life? Word is, she even agreed to make a cameo in the director's next project just for this. Attached was the announcement poster from Pastoral Life featuring the next episode's guest lineup. A quick search of Nestor's profile showed he'd reposted the promo too. My sugar mommy, not really, said rising stars shouldn't be buried by clouds, so I got a one-of-a-kind kind of love. It was paired with a photo of someone patting his head, his own profile pic. The moment I saw it, an unnameable rage shot through me. Though the hand in the photo was out of frame, I recognized it from the red mole on the ring finger. It was Selena. As much as I hated to admit it, he had genuinely managed to piss me off. That feeling irked me, like a ragdoll cat that only ever acted sweet to me, suddenly retracting its claws for someone else. Even as my mood sank, the corners of my mouth curled into a smirk. Fine, since you think one-of-a-kind is sexy, then I'll make your one-of-a-kind look just like everyone else. I called my friend back. He sounded like he'd just hit the jackpot. Don't worry, man. You've invested a ton of cash and you're the largest shareholder now. If the director doesn't even slot your trainees into the guest list, that'd be downright embarrassing. 10 minutes later, right on cue during lunch break, when every office worker was glued to their phones, whether it was newly signed rookies or long-forgotten veterans, every single one of them was announced as a flying guest on Run For It, the country's most watched variety show. Everyone, except Nestor. News spread quickly within the company. Everyone in the industry is sharp, they know how to read the room. Almost as soon as the news broke, trainees began posting grateful messages on social media. Bro Santi is so generous. We're all rising stars with potential. Only Bro Santi could do this, turning what others treat like rare privileges into opportunities for all of us. These trainees might not be well known yet, but sheer numbers and their small but loyal fan bases made up for it. In less than 30 minutes, the comments under Nestor's posts, those gushing about his god-tier older woman, younger guy romance, and calling Selena a goddess, had all vanished. The gossipers had already started piecing together clues, speculating why I had singled out Nestor. His eyes were red, humiliated and disgraced. The blow to his ego was brutal. What was once him flaunting his special status had now become a public joke. Ashamed, he lowered his head and slinked into the elevator to leave the company. But just then, he ran into two trainees already inside. Mid-conversation about him. I've been fed up with him for a while. Everyone in the biz knows Selena and Bro Santi are a thing. And he still tried to insert himself into that. Always showing up with breakfast and coffee for her. Serves him right. Did he really think someone like him could steal Selena from Bro Santi? Nestor said nothing. Fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white, like the words had physically slapped him. Eyes red. He bolted the moment the elevator doors opened. Never looking back, I watched him from the floor-to-ceiling window, fleeing into a cab. Utterly defeated. I'm the kind of man who holds grudges. If someone jumps in front of me to provoke me, then I'll make sure to pay them back double. Let him understand. There are some people he's not worthy of clinging to, and some people he's not qualified to mess with. When Selena finished filming and got back into the car, she saw the boy, his eyes swollen from crying. What happened? Weren't you all smiles this morning? She frowned, puzzled. The moment Nestor opened his mouth, tears began to fall. He looked helpless, pitiful. Bro Santi doesn't like me, does he? No one's ever treated me the way you have. I was just sharing my happiness with my fans this morning, but that already upset him. As he spoke, he made a show of standing up to leave. Selena, thank you for taking care of me all this time. You'll always be irreplaceable in my heart. That was when Selena finally realized what I'd done to Nestor. Selena, I'm sorry. Do you think Bro Santi will be mad at you because of me? If I'd known he was so easily upset, I definitely wouldn't have posted anything. He lowered his head in guilt. But every word painted him as the innocent one, while I came off as petty and vindictive. I don't know how Selena reacted at the time. Her assistant didn't report that. But that night, when Selena came home, her face was stormy. The air in the villa was suffocating. Even the maids cleaning were holding their breath. I ignored her anger and kept trimming the flower branches. She seemed even more irritated by my indifference. After taking a few deep breaths, she finally sighed and spoke. Santi, he's just a kid. Why take it so seriously? Before I could answer, she added, can you keep tomorrow night free? I kept my eyes on where I was cutting the branches and didn't look at her. Why? Her earlier determination wavered, chilled by the coldness in my tone. He thinks there's been a misunderstanding between you two. He wants to apologize, to clear things up face to face. I set down the shears and went upstairs without looking back. There's no misunderstanding. He provoked me first, I simply returned the favor. But there is something I haven't said yet. Since he's coming to me, at least I won't have to waste time sending my assistant with the message. Chapter 5. The next day, when I arrived at the private room, Nestor was already waiting outside. He bowed respectfully as soon as I appeared in the hallway. Bro Santi, I'm really sorry. His voice trembled with genuine remorse. That was the first time anyone's ever treated me that well. I couldn't help but repost that announcement to show off. I didn't know it would bother you. You weren't wrong, I was. I just hope you won't take it out on Sis Lena because of me. Selena stood to the side, blinking at me in a silent plea, hoping I would accept the apology and drop it. I didn't respond. I handed my coat to the waiter and sat down before speaking casually. I think you misunderstood something. If we're talking about you, you don't have the qualifications to threaten the relationship between me and Selena. I shot the boy a sharp look. But there's one thing I need you to understand. I'm a possessive man. Anyone who dares to get cozy with my wife is challenging my authority, testing my limits. And trust me, you don't want to see what I'll do when that happens. Perhaps he'd seen too many fake smiles and empty threats in this industry, because when faced with my blunt warning, all he showed was fear and shame. Santi, he's sincerely trying to make peace. Why scare him like that? Selena knew how I handled things, but she also knew I didn't go after people for no reason. So even though Nestor was trembling and crying silently, after she said that, she didn't push it further. I took my coat from the waiter and got up to leave. There won't be a next time, whether or not he intended it. Before the car started, Selena followed me in and sat beside me. She still felt I'd gone too far. There's nothing between me and him, and you know that. Was it really necessary to humiliate a kid like that? I closed the folder in my hands and turned to look at the woman I'd loved for 10 years. She looked the same, but something inside her had changed. Selena, when you strip everything else away, this was never about me. The real trigger was your attitude. You knew how much effort I put into getting those wedding rings, and yet you casually handed the symbol of our love to a calculating third wheel. Don't tell me you didn't notice what he was after. Selena paused mid-reach, clearly uneasy, and turned away to avoid my gaze. I knew, but he's still young. People make mistakes. As long as he corrects it, it's not a big deal, right? Besides, you know I never encouraged him. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her steadily. And that's the only reason you're still sitting here, talking to me. Selena, I love you. She clearly hadn't expected that. Because I love you, I can tolerate your occasional lapses in judgment, but I'm a man who demands emotional fidelity. Don't make the wrong choice and lead us to that point, please. When Selena saw the conviction in my eyes, panic finally crept into hers. No, Santi, we promised forever, remember? Selena was smart. She knew I could forgive her for almost anything. Except betrayal, that was my bottom line. So after that night, she cut ties with Nestor completely. Without Selena's protection, Nestor, a nobody with no hit works, no public heat, was left tagging along after his agent, taking low-paying gigs just to stay afloat. But even those gigs weren't guaranteed. I hadn't told anyone to make things hard for him. After all, everyone makes mistakes when they're young, and I'd already made sure he learned his lesson. But in the brutal world of entertainment, stepping on the weak and lifting the strong is just how things work. Not even 2 weeks passed before his agent called him in for a talk, because his commercial value was too low. The turning point came one afternoon. That day, after not being booked for any work for a while, Nestor's agent tried to drag him to a shady brand event to pour drinks for executives, and Selena just happened to witness it. The boy was being yanked along by a greasy, heavy-set man. His face was full of helplessness and silent pleas. Selena couldn't stand it, her cold gaze fixed on the agent. You don't need to come in tomorrow. When my secretary reported the incident to me, I wasn't surprised by Selena's decision, because before I stepped in years ago, she had gone through the same thing. She'd suffered unspeakable humiliation, threats from her own agent. So now, the moment she saw someone who reminded her of her younger self being treated the same way, she couldn't turn away, especially not when the once lively, bright-eyed boy had now been reduced to this. Assuming I was behind it all, Selena's rationality burned to ashes in her fury. She broke our previous agreement. That night, when Selena got home, the first thing she did was smash the flower vase I'd been arranging. Santiago, what happened to you? It was the first time in all our years that we had a full-blown fight. He already learned his lesson. Why would you tell the company to keep pushing him down? Did you know he almost got forced into escorting at some shady event today? You're so cold and selfish now, I barely recognize you. I had meant to talk things through calmly, but her anger lit mine. Who is he to you? Why do you care so much? Everything that's happened to him, he brought it on himself. Who the hell do you think I am? You think I'd waste time holding a grudge against someone that insignificant? The shattered vase lay at our feet, impossible to piece back together. Just like the moment I stood there, eyes red, staring at the woman who had lost control of her emotions, over another man. and I realized we could never go back to what we once were. Chapter 6. Selena quickly reassigned Nestor to one of the company's top agents. As for his previous agent, not only was he fired, but Selena also used her influence to blacklist him across the entire industry. She leveraged her connections to get Nestor endless brand deals and commercial appearances. Even on film sets, she insisted that the director give him a part. I knew she was doing all of this as a show of defiance. And so, our Cold War reached an all-time high. I stayed at the company. She moved into a hotel. The home we had designed and decorated together was now only entered by the cleaning staff. Eventually, she even stopped coming to the office. If she needed anything, documents, contracts, she sent Nestor to get them for her. Once, she even gave Nestor the code to our home. That day, I happened to return. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Nestor walking confidently into Selena's dressing room like he owned the place. He turned around at the sound, saw me, and instead of looking panicked, I caught a flash of smugness and provocation in his eyes. Any hesitation I had about reaching out to Selena vanished completely. I didn't take my anger out on Nestor, but from beginning to end, I didn't say a single word to him. That night, lying alone in the break room at the office, I finally covered my eyes. So be it, Selena. I won't stand here waiting for you anymore. In a gossip-fueled industry like ours, Selena's blatant closeness with Nestor naturally became the topic of daily chatter. But news about the two of them moved fast. They attended film festivals together, did heart signs side by side at brand events, shared a private fireworks show on a yacht, made clay puppies together during their free time. At the company, there was never a day without buzz about them. My assistant gave me daily updates on their movements, but whenever I heard or saw those reports, all I ever said was, keep the records. No other emotions surfaced. At that time, I was busy sorting through my assets, cash, real estate, investments. Pre-marriage and post-marriage holdings were so numerous they gave me a headache. I had no mental space to waste on Selena and Nestor. Meanwhile, Nestor's provocations grew more and more blatant. He thought my silence meant he'd won. Fine, laugh while you still can. In a few days, we'll see how hard you cry. Chapter 7. That day, a mutual friend of mine and Selena's was leaving the country, forcing both of us to attend the farewell party. We acted like nothing had happened. I arrived early at the film set to pick her up. She reminded me to drive safely. But this time, even after the agreed time had passed, I still hadn't seen her come out. So I entered the studio. Through the crowd, I saw the one thing I'd least wanted to see. On camera, beneath a blooming peach tree, the boy held Selena in his arms and kissed her on the lips. The director called, "Cut," and Selena casually walked toward me. "Give me a minute. I'll wash off the makeup and we can leave." Her tone was calm, like kissing someone else in front of me was completely normal. With anyone else, it would have been just another scene. But the key point was, Selena had severe OCD about cleanliness. In the 12 years since her debut, she had never filmed a kiss scene. My expression turned icy cold. The tension in the air around me was suffocating. I watched silently as she and Nestor walked into the dressing room, one after the other. And at that moment, I made up my mind. Everything after that was silent. When we arrived at the farewell gathering, Selena finally smiled for the first time that day. Clinging to my arm, she greeted everyone with ease. When she wants to talk to someone, she never runs out of conversation. Although she never brought it up, everyone knew what had been happening between her and Nestor. So when a friend tried to steer the conversation toward me and Selena, the atmosphere in the private room instantly shifted. I reached for a napkin and gracefully wiped my mouth. "Oh, forgot to mention, Selena and I have decided to get divorced." "What? Since when? You two even showed up together." Someone quick-tongued blurted out what everyone was thinking, and the woman who hadn't looked me in the eye since we walked in, finally stared at me, stunned. I nodded calmly. "Yeah, but this is our last appearance together as a married couple." The ease and charm had long since vanished from Selena's face. Just as she was about to speak, her phone rang loudly. "Selena, paparazzi just leaked your marriage with Bro Santi, and your high-profile outings with Nestor are blowing up. The backlash online is insane. In under 10 minutes, you've lost 2 million followers. Several brands are already reaching out to terminate contracts." Her assistant had her phone on speaker, so the entire room heard every word. In shock, Selena dropped her phone. She stared at me, eyes full of disbelief, confusion, and barely concealed rage. "It was you." Her voice was trembling and hoarse. I nodded, lips curling slightly. Her face turned even paler. Her eyes were so red, it looked like they might bleed. Why would you do this?" I ignored her hysteria and placed the divorce papers I'd prepared on the table. "Selena, I gave you your chance." Chapter 8. Selena stared at me intently, as if unless I gave her a reason, she would never stop clinging to hope, no matter how long it took. Her voice was hoarse, like it had been scraped by sandpaper. "Stop joking, Santi. This isn't funny. My tone was ice cold. Unfortunately for you, it's not a joke. The moment you indulged Nestor trampling all over our marriage, parading around in front of me like it was nothing, you should have expected this day would come. And there's one more piece of bad news for you. Every time Nestor posted about your so-called romance, your share of the marital assets shrank. Add to that the fact I hired the country's top legal team. Starting today, what awaits you is ruin and bankruptcy. With every word I spoke, the terror in Selina's eyes deepened. No. That's impossible. When I finished, she finally broke down. Like someone possessed, she tore the divorce papers to shreds. You're lying. This can't be real. Santi, how could you do this to me? She rushed toward me and grabbed my hand. There's nothing between me and Nestor. Everything we did was strictly for work. Santi, I love you. Don't you know that? I was out of my mind back then. Santi, you can't just throw me away. I had no patience for her delayed remorse. I pulled my hand back in disgust. Suddenly, I felt an aversion to her, like she was something filthy. I even picked up a wet wipe and started cleaning my hand. Work, with me backing you. Who in the entertainment industry would dare make you do anything you didn't want? In fact, you were the one who used my name to pressure directors into casting Nestor. Selina, you're already revolting enough. Don't make yourself even more pathetic by playing the victim. Selina snapped back emotionally. That doesn't prove there was anything between us. I just pitied him. I wanted to help him. Your words. I cut her off. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? The moment you let him into our home, we were done. You let another man step into our most private space. What kind of love are you trying to talk to me about now? I'll have my assistant send you a new copy of the divorce papers. I hope, like me, you won't waste another second on this meaningless marriage. Chapter 9. Selina couldn't accept it. Yes, she had crossed boundaries with Nestor, but in her mind, it was all just to provoke me. She never truly intended to end our marriage. She didn't understand how things had gone this far. Even just half an hour earlier, she'd still been fantasizing about how I might take her somewhere after the party to make up and coax her home. So when I got into the car, Selina chased after me. She pulled open the door, sat in the back seat with me, and urged the driver to go, terrified that if she waited even a second, I might kick her out. Her voice was laced with panic and pleading. Santi, we can't end like this, not so impulsively. Let's go home, please. Don't be rash. We'll talk things through, just at home. Okay. I looked down at her anxious, tear-stained face with indifference. Fine. If she wanted to go home, I'd let her. Let her see for herself, and give up completely. It was the first time Selina had returned home since our Cold War began, but the house was no longer the one she remembered. She froze on the spot, eyes wide with disbelief. What happened here? Her eyes reddened as she turned to me, clinging to the last shred of hope for an answer. Surprised. Your charity case came over himself to redesign the place. He said this house made you feel unhappy. So to cheer you up, he tossed out all the furniture we carefully picked together, and replaced them with things you liked. Selina's mouth fell open in shock. It took a long while before she finally managed to speak. Why didn't you stop him? I shrugged. There's no love left. What difference does this place make to me now? It's just another property. If someone's trespassing, that's the police's job. Me, I just saved the surveillance footage for evidence. My ruthlessness stabbed straight into her heart. Right then and there, Selina finally realized. I truly didn't love her anymore, but nothing ever happened between me and him. She refused to give up, still holding on, still clinging to hope. Her tears fell like broken beads, so stubborn and so vulnerable, just like the version of her I once fell in love with. Before, I would have pulled her into my arms and comforted her without hesitation. But now, when I looked at her, I felt nothing. To me, she was no different from a stranger. I know you two didn't go all the way, but so what? When you lashed out at me for Nestor's sake, did you think I wouldn't be hurt? When you gave him the key to our home, did you think I wouldn't be disappointed? When the rumors about you two filled every corner of the internet, did you consider how people would look at me? You knew all of this, and you still did it. You didn't care how I felt. You only wanted to protect your precious underdog. You didn't care about my dignity. You just wanted to make me jealous, force me to come crawling back to you. I stared at her, finding her expression of wounded innocence almost ridiculous. Selina, there's no going back. Stop humiliating yourself. Chapter 10. Selina refused to agree to the divorce. Even with the internet flooded with insults against her, even with paparazzi and anti-fans camping outside the company, she still showed up every day, perfectly put together, trying to win me back. Nestor was completely backed into a corner when he finally managed to see her again. She, terrified I might misunderstand, didn't hesitate to have security drag him away. Even when I was cold to her, she never gave up. Every night after I left the office, she would return to our old home alone. She scoured every garbage dump in the city, hunted through furniture stores day and night, trying to restore the house to how it used to be. She even stepped into the kitchen she once despised, just to learn how to cook soup from our housekeeper. Each time she came to the office, she brought soup she had made herself, even though those soups always ended up being taken home, only to be dumped out. Late one night, the door was suddenly pounded on with desperation. It was Selena, completely drunk, trying to beg for reconciliation. She collapsed into my arms, legs weak, and that's when I suddenly remembered, this property was one we bought together. She was registered with the building management too. That's how she got in. I called my assistant and told him to come take her to a hotel. Hearing my voice, Selena forced herself awake from the haze of alcohol. She slapped my phone away and looked up at me, begging like a stray. Santi, I'm not leaving. Let's not get divorced. Okay, I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have acted childish and used Nestor to test you. I've deleted all his contact info. I warned him never to come near us again. Let's not get divorced. Can't we just go back to how things were? I can take on tons of commercial events, even those high-paying films. I'll do anything, just so we don't get divorced. I can earn a lot for the company. That's when I realized I'd overlooked something important. I forgot to officially terminate her contract. My voice turned frigid. Selena, go announce your retirement from the industry. Your actions have already caused severe damage to the company. We don't need a scandal-ridden artist like you. If you leave voluntarily and find another path, there's still a chance to pay off the breach fees. But if you insist on being stubborn and wait for the company to shelf you until your contract expires, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Selena looked at me in disbelief, utterly broken. She begged and pleaded, completely unrecognizable from the glamorous, shining star she once was, but I had already said all I needed to. No matter how much she explained or begged afterward, I ignored her. I pushed her off me and left her on the couch. Before my assistant took her away, I reminded him to speak with the lawyers and speed up the divorce proceedings. As for Nestor, his skills had always been lacking. Without Selena spoon-feeding him resources, and with the reputation of being a homewrecker hanging over his head, he now had to pay the company's breach fees, and was frequently chased down by my lawyers for the damages caused when he broke into my home. Eventually, under the pressure of public opinion, Selena's legal team reluctantly agreed to the divorce. The day I received the divorce certificate at the Civil Affairs Bureau, the last bit of light in Selena's eyes went out. Half a month had passed since I last saw her, and she looked like a shadow of her former self. The pride and composure that once shone in her eyes had been completely replaced by regret and despair. Santi, will you be with someone else? Her voice cracked. I'm sorry, I really am. But, could you not be with someone else? Just thinking about the love you once gave me someday going to someone else, it eats me up inside. Santi. I'm sorry. Her words stirred nothing in me. I didn't look back. I didn't regret the love I once gave, because the Selena I once loved was worth it. But people change, and I won't compromise anymore. Maybe I'll be drawn to someone new someday, or maybe I won't find someone who truly gets me again. But that's my life to live. Selena, let's never see each other again. Chapter 11. After that, I never saw Selena or Nestor again. Not only did they get completely shut out of the entertainment industry, even the city they once loved, the city where they had so many memories, could no longer sustain them. I didn't ask about them. I didn't have the time or the interest. To them, I might be a former husband, a former boss, or now, and forever, a creditor demanding breach compensation. But to me, they were just detours, people who no longer shared my path. I let go of the past and lived freely, however I pleased. And every single day, I welcomed whatever surprises life had in store for me.